A couple goes on a cross-country road trip, but only one person returns. And then shortly after, that person disappears as well too. I'm going to discuss how Brian Laundrie could have been responsible for Gabby Petito's death, as well as why he disappeared. The way this story starts out is that Gabby Petito and her fiance Brian Laundrie had decided to do a van life cross-country road trip across the United States. And so they left around mid-June, and then around August 27th to August 30th, somehow Gabby disappeared. But shortly before her disappearance, there was a 911 call of a domestic abuse that was going on in public, in which the police were involved in. As they were being interviewed by police, they gave out conflicting stories of what had occurred and what had happened. And so at the end of it, the police decided that they should separate for the night. And so Brian decided to keep the car, and Gabby said she would stay in the hotel, seeing how Brian didn't have the money to stay in the hotel. And so a few days later, Gabby disappears, but Brian shows up at his house with her van. So the whole entire time he was home, he never had filed for a missing person report saying that Gabby disappeared. He just acted as if nothing happened. It wasn't until her parents had reported missing when they launched an investigation trying to figure out what happened to her. And so at this point, Brian became a person of interest. He was not a suspect at all. They just thought that it was kind of weird. And so larger full-scale investigators trying to get to the bottom of it, and which Brian had lawyered up. And by him lawyering up, his lawyers hadn't told him, don't say a word, because with police, 9 times out of 10, they think that you did it. So the Laundrie family decided to stay quiet, not say a word, and keep to themselves, all while the Petito family was out there trying to figure out and find answers. And so over and over again, they asked Brian what happened and where was their daughter, and he would not answer any of their questions. And so once the investigation started being launched off, they searched everywhere, went through all the messages and everything, and couldn't find anything, including went through their video logs, because throughout the whole entire trip, they video vlogged everything that they did. And so shortly afterwards, they found Gabby's body in a national forest. But around the time that they found the body, Brian came up missing. His family said that he went into the woods. Well, actually, he went hiking and just never came back. Even during the time period when they said that, hey, we are willing to talk to you, you can come by the house. And then when police showed up, that's when they told him, like, yeah, we haven't seen Brian in the past couple of days. So in my opinion is, what do you think? Do you think that Brian did it, or is he innocent of what actually happened to Gabby? And so for me to do this, I have to think of it as an unbiased approach. So when it comes to Brian, there's a possible that he could not have done it, just because of the fact that during the time they got into an argument, yeah, he could have left with her van and had left it there, because he figured like, hey, you have money to get back, I don't. Why not take the van and you find another way home? In which she probably caught a ride, caught the bus or something, and went that way. But the thing about it is, if you didn't have money to do that yourself, how you had the money to pay for gas and everything else just to get back home in Florida? And on top of that, how can you just leave your fiance in the middle of nowhere and just leave her there? I'm like, that's not normally how things happen around. So a few people may try to figure out, how is he a person of interest? The reason why is because, one, she disappeared and he was the last one to see her. So that would automatically make him a person of interest, even though in most cases he would actually be a suspect. And the reason for that is because when cases like that happen, where a woman disappears or come up murder, as Gabby did, 9 times out of 10 it is actually the partner that actually did it, just because partners are majority of the suspects that in crimes like that. And when it comes to normalizing things, it's really suspicious that you're the one that came back and she didn't, and then when people ask you questions about where she is, you just don't say a word. You just act as if like she never existed in the first place. So the second thing I noticed too was the fact that Brian had Gabby car at his house. And so the question I ask is, why would you have a car? And how would you have a car without her being there? Because I know in my case, like, I would not let anybody drive my car but me. Just because that's just how I am. I'm like, I don't care if we're married, we're dating, or whatever. Like, nobody else drive my car. And so, with that in mind, like, the car's in her name and everything, like, how did you even get the vehicle in the first place? And why would she give you the vehicle? Because the fact of the matter is, like, that is a one mistake that most criminals make too, as well, is that you take the victim's stuff. And so, with that, you have a vehicle, you drive it back home, and then on top of that, you keep the vehicle at your house. And like, you never file a missing person report. You never try to say that you try to establish communication with her, just to say like, hey, I made it back home, I don't know about you, did you make it back yet? Like, hey, what's going on? Like, you had made no attempt to try to communicate to see if like she was all right or anything. You didn't initiate the missing person report. Her parents did, after they couldn't get any answers from you of what happened to their daughter. And then the third mistake that Brian had made was the fact that he took off, like literally took off, and disappeared into the Florida wilderness. And so that's really suspicious as well too, just because the fact, like, why would you disappear? I'm like, you came to the conclusion that you was going to tell her family and let them know and let police know as well, like, what happened, and then a couple days before they showed up, you upped and disappeared. So when you look at all the evidence that came in and everything they have found, it's like Brian should have been like the prime suspect of this case though. But the thing that I started witnessing is the fact that police are showing a lot of bias in this. Just because I'm not trying to throw the race card out there or anything, it's just the fact that if this was like anybody else, if she was dating a black guy, Hispanic guy, or anything else, we would have been downtown faster than you can fucking blink. Just because of the fact that they saying like they need proper cause. Well, the proper cause is she's missing, y'all's together, she disappeared, you have her vehicle and you're home and she's not. So how is that not proper cause at all? But when you look at this through a psychological standpoint, it's like it's all the characteristics of what most killers do. I'm like, you had a motive to do something, and on top of that is when you return back home, it's like you did everything that you possibly could to distance yourself from the act that you did. And then on top of that, you lawyered up the second you found out that police wanted to question you about her disappearance. In which, yes, I understand, you have the right to remain silent, which was what his lawyer had him do. But on top of that, it would have been best to say something at the least. So as this video is being made, there was a recent update of what was going on, to where Brian's sister Cassie had went to the media and pleaded out for her brother to come back and try to get their family out this mess. In which I can completely agree with the fact that you will want your side of the story to be heard. Just because if you felt like you didn't do any of it, then you should tell them what happened, so that way your side actually gets out. Because the more you run, the more likely that people will start feeling, giving their own opinion, like, on why you could have done it, even though you may not have done it, or you could have done it. Nobody actually knows. So with that in mind, I'd like to know what your opinions are, and go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I still have a lot of thoughts about this case as well too, and I will try to keep update on it. But go ahead and put a comment down below and hit the like button if you like this video. Go ahead and have a good night.